28 days into the war between the US, Israel, and Iran, the scope of the conflict is expanding beyond the initial military targets. US President Donald Trump has issued a new 10-day deadline, delaying planned strikes against Iranian energy infrastructure until April 6th. The president claims that talks on a peace deal are currently going very well, suggesting a diplomatic breakthrough is within reach. But the reality on the ground contradicts this narrative of a pause. Despite the delay in energy strikes, the kinetic war is intensifying as missiles and drones hit targets across 4 neighboring countries. The political rhetoric of a temporary delay acts as a screen for a conflict that is pulling global trade routes into its orbit. In Lebanon, 1 in 5 people, over 1 million civilians, are now displaced as the Israeli offensive against Hezbollah moves north. Escape routes are disappearing. Israeli strikes have torpedoed bridges over the Litani River, creating a geographic trap for populations trying to flee the southern border. Inside Iran, the target list has expanded to include civilian and economic infrastructure. US and Israeli strikes have hit the Khuzestan and Mobarakeh steel plants, alongside UNESCO-listed historical sites like the Golistan Palace. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has announced that these strikes will intensify, moving into new sectors that support the regime's military capabilities. Iran is responding with continuous drone and missile salvos. These strikes are now landing in Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. National borders no longer contain the exchange of fire, and the immediate Middle Eastern theater has moved into a state of active regional instability. The fighting has reached the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway responsible for carrying 20% of the world's petroleum supply. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a major branch of Iran's military, has declared the strait closed to any shipping vessels linked to US or Israeli allies. This blockade was demonstrated when 2 Chinese container ships were forced to execute a U-turn at the mouth of the Gulf, despite prior assurances of safe passage. When even neutral superpower vessels cannot guarantee a safe transit, the localized war has effectively become an economic blockade against the world. The fallout has reached the aviation industry. Major transit hubs in Dubai, Doha, and Abu Dhabi have shut down, forcing international airlines to cancel or reroute hundreds of flights around the region. This chart shows the impact of that disruption. The price of jet fuel has doubled in just 3 weeks. In Asia, the loss of these energy imports is forcing governments to implement emergency measures to secure their national power grids. Japan has authorized the full operation of older, high-emission coal-fired power plants, temporarily lifting environmental restrictions to prevent blackouts. At the same time, the war is creating new proxy alliances. Intelligence reports indicate that Russia is providing satellite targeting data to Tehran to assist in strikes against US forces. At the G7, a group of the world's most advanced economies, ministers are now debating how to respond to this Russian involvement. Between the grounded international flights, the restart of Japanese coal plants, and the expansion of intelligence-sharing alliances, the conflict has reached a global scale. Global trade routes are severed, international airspaces are completely blocked, and energy grids are operating under emergency protocols. Mediation efforts are ongoing in Pakistan to attempt a ceasefire, but the damage to the existing global order is already visible. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warns that stabilization is unlikely in the coming days, citing intelligence from Western allies that suggests further escalation. Regardless of any future ceasefire, the physical blockage of these trade arteries has established a new baseline for the international order. Localized war in the 21st century is a myth.